Afghan scandals and Coulter, and an episode that'll have to suffice until next season.
This is the Not So Much News. Our top story, the Conservative government is under a lot of fire from the opposition. What else is new? But this time, it's for their effort at being transparent.
They provided a 2,500-page document detailing the handling of Afghan detainees. One problem, it was very redacted.
How redacted was it?
It was so redacted that we couldn't tell who tortured who and who was abused. But seriously, it seems the government's idea of transparency is opaque.
Opposition MPs called it a conservative move to buy time in order to protect themselves. The government, meanwhile, called it a national security measure. A government that is criticized and then says they're doing it for our safety. Sounds familiar.
We'll see what happens when House Speaker Peter Milliken makes a decision whether the government violated their privileges by providing this so-called document. But more likely, nothing will get resolved, as it's Canadian politics.
So this is generally the part of the show where we give you more fun Canadian news and make the funny?
Yeah, but there's one thing on our radar that's slightly less funny and more, what's the word I'm looking for, annoying.
Last week, Conservative pundit Ann Coulter came to our country to give a set of speeches at 3 universities. Why did we invite her? What's that? It was arranged by a conservative group who claims to believe in free speech, yet supports a woman who makes anti-Islamic remarks?
And who'd have thought that the likes of Ann Coulter would go along with these kinds of people? Shocking. At her speech to the University of Western Ontario, a young Muslim girl asked a question to Coulter about earlier remarks that Coulter said on how Muslims should find another mode of transportation. When the girl asked what she suggested Coulter have her take, Coulter suggested she take a camel.
Really, Coulter? That face and you're making a camel joke?
Yeah, most of the dreck that comes out of her mouth can be equated to some form of braying. And if you've seen that woman chew gum, you'll see the connection. Seriously, Google Ann Coulter chewing and you'll be entertained for minutes.
Earlier in the week, she got a message from the provost of the University of Ottawa saying she should look over what Canada's stance on hate speech is before she makes any more comments. Of course, what kind of pundit would she be if she didn't say that the provost was threatening to criminally prosecute her?
Because in America, senior academic officials are now the new district attorneys. Bear with me on this, folks. I may get a little heated. Hey, Coulter, don't cry foul when you walk around a country that you don't know the rules of, saying dumb, irreverent things to people who are essentially children. I'm glad your speech got pulled from the University of Ottawa. Oh, and by the way, those who feel that the University of Ottawa is not stirring up democratic discussion by allowing a woman who is known and on record with irresponsible and inflammatory statements, I remind you that the same school brought us the journalistic responsibility of Peter Jennings and Samantha Bee, both of whom I can safely place above Ann Coulter. And this just goes to show what conservative punditry has become in this day and age. Are you aware of how little conservative pundits have to do with conservative ideology? You want fairness and reasonable discussion of both sides? Or do you want one idiot who yells in one direction while another yells from another? You think people like Rush Limbaugh are protected assets to the Republican way of life? No one cares, other than Deborah Jane, the bored and phone-savvy Detroit mother of two who feels that her eldest daughter is destroying the establishment of marriage by marrying a black man. People like Ann Coulter engage in what the highest political minds call disturbing. You don't gain anything from arguing with these people, other than the very same publicity that they want. Just makes me so angry. You know what, Ann Coulter? You're a huge
Okay, moving on. Last week, the United States House passed a historic bill providing universal health care to about 47 million uninsured Americans. Soon after, the rest of the civilized world welcomed America to the 20th century.
It was a long, drawn-out battle with every single Republican voting against it. But I think we're forgetting the real issue here. What do we have now as Canadians? Seriously, we were milking healthcare and hockey for a while.
But good for you, America. We're proud of you. Allowing people to remain on their parents' healthcare plan until 26, getting rid of the idea of higher rates based on pre-existing conditions. But the one thing that I am disgusted at is the 10% service tax on indoor tanning booths.
Because clearly you get a lot of sun.
Shut up.
And now we'd like to welcome a very, very special guest for the last show, Mayor David Miller.
Oh, hello, Anand, Juliana.
You said he wouldn't be back.
Wait, Danny, where the hell is Miller? You said that you could get him because you were his nephew.
Oh, I had him, Anon, but the mayor had an accident. Juliana, you haven't been responding to the messages I've been leaving you.
You mean those threats written in what looks like animal blood on the building across from my window?
It's called romance, my dear. I'm wooing you.
All right. If we're stuck with you, I feel like I have to ask, why are you dressed like a priest?
Peace, my nephew. As the Lord says, good things come to those who wait.
I think that's actually a Guinness beer slogan.
No, I'm pretty sure Jesus said it. Regarding my new vocation, well, I've gotten a bit of a bad rap lately due to my appearances on this show. So I thought to myself, who does everyone love? Apparently trying to become Brad Pitt is not a worthy career goal. So I went with my backup plan, a priest.
That's pretty sound advice. But I don't know if you've noticed, Danny, but the Catholic Church has been hit pretty hard right now by the media.